It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show.
Welcome to the Dep Lewis Show, episode 154. This is your host, Dep Lewis, and today is Sunday, November 9th, 2025. A great day for a podcast about video games and more. So I hope you're doing great out there in the world, wherever and whenever you're listening to this. Thank you so much for being here. The first order of business is to ask you to follow Dep Lewis Show everywhere. Full episodes of Dep Lewis Show available anywhere you can find a podcast. So find the best place to subscribe and listen weekly. Places like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Amazon Music, and more. YouTube is also a great place to watch me play some games live or check out the videos later. If you would like to support the show even further than just listening, patreon.com/Dep Lewis Show is available if you'd like to subscribe monthly. Also, Venmo at Dep Lewis Show is available any day, anytime, for any amount if you would like to support the show. And today's show will have three sections as always. The first section, I'll tell you about what video games I've been playing since I've last talked to you on this microphone. The mid section, which is not mid in quality, it's just the middle of the show. That's where I tell you everything going on around the video game world that you need to know. And the third and final section, the Miscellaneous Talk section, that's where I can talk about anything I want to outside the video game world. And that is where I like to get into the worldwide world of sports and tell you what's going on with all my favorite teams. This is a NFL Sunday, and the mighty Carolina Panthers are taking on the New Orleans Saints in Charlotte for a division matchup. On this last, it looks maybe like the last nice weather Sunday going on in North Carolina, but we will see. So hopefully the Panthers will be getting a win today. We'll be talking about last week's game some and a little more sports stuff in the final section. But the main thing we're talking about on this show each week are the video games. And we are going to start talking about what I've been playing since I've last talked to you on this microphone. So what video games have I been playing? The first one is something I did play last week, but I did not mention. It's something friend in real life and friend of the show, Volness, the creator of the music on the Dep Lewis Show, has been playing this as well. And I've been getting some tips from him because he's been going in. And that game is Ball Pit. So if you look this up in the store, on like a storefront for Xbox Series X or S or Switch or Windows, that's where the game's available. It released on October 15th. It's $14.99 US, and the game is called Ball. There's an X, across Pit, but I believe everyone just calls this game Ball Pit. The developer is Kenny Sun and Friends. So it's published by Devolver Digital, so that'll probably look familiar. I think Devolver Digital has published a lot of really fun games. And Ball Pit is a brick-breaking, ball-fusing, base-building survival roguelite. Batter hordes of enemies with ricocheting balls and gather the riches of the pit to expand your homestead, generate resources, and recruit unique heroes. And this game is really fun. If you like, I think some of the comparisons Volness has made has been Dead Cells, Vampire Survivors, Binding of Isaac. I'm trying to think of other ones. I think I've maybe thrown out in there, even Pong, with some of the ways the balls will ricochet off the walls and things like that, and they're kind of going back and forth, and you can kind of hit different angles with them. I guess maybe even a little bit of Peggle in there, or Tetris even, with the way the screen is set up. But this game's doing a lot of really great things, and it's very fun. This is like an addicting kind of fun game that you'll end up wanting to keep doing run after run, and even the little loop in between is fun. So this game, I'm trying to think where to even start with this. There are many different characters. They have different abilities. It puts you into this world where you have to defeat these hordes of enemies. You can get all sorts of upgrades to your arsenal, which can be, I think they call them baby balls. You can get ghost balls. You can get fire, lightning. You can fuse them together to create even greater options for weaponry, really akin to Vampire Survivors. So a lot of those are real similar. Dead Cells is another one Volness is compared it to, and I think that's true too. It's just really in that great category of, it's not a full price game, but it's a full price worthy of content kind of thing, kind of like Balatro. I think it falls into that category of video game. And I have defeated, I guess I don't know if it's like completing a run, but I think I've done it twice now. I defeated the Skeleton King with a couple different characters, which is nice. And this is going to be a game of completing different things with different characters. And it looks like some of the characters even carry on upgrades as you go, like as the next run. Even after you lose or you win, you come back into the menu and they have some upgrades. So there's a lot of cool upgrades and different paths to take. And I'm already getting into a little bit of a groove of what items I like using And when I see things, because you'll get presented with 3 different upgrades each time and you have to pick one. And you want to pick things that are going to fuse together, and it does a good job of explaining that to you, but you do want to pick stuff that fits your playstyle in general. So I think it takes a little bit of time to get, even used to what the items are, and then the next layer is getting used to what you like using. And so the main game is extremely fun. It's basically you're just going to be aiming with the 2 joysticks, and really that's about it. And just angling your character, trying to defeat these enemies and these bosses. It's really fun. And then after you either die or succeed, you get brought back to like a hub area, where I guess it's kind of like building a farm or building a settlement or a little bit of a town. And you can build things up for resources. It's not too intense on what you're doing. The main thing is basically just putting your buildings and your crops or your wheat or your forest on the map, and then you're going to shoot your characters that you collected. So I have 3 different characters I can play in this game, and then you shoot them, and they basically just bounce like the balls are ricocheting through the town, and you're just collecting resources. So it looks a little bit complicated, but it's actually pretty simple. And you just there is some strategy to designing the layout and what you're going to build and how you're going to build it. And you want to, when you build a building, you have to run your characters into it and just find the way to do it. So there's a little bit of balance to it and strategy to building the layout. But the harvest portion will most likely just take you a couple minutes at the most in between the runs, and you really don't even have to engage with it too much. I think you'd probably just want to harvest each time and then go right back to the run would probably be okay advice. But yeah, I think you do want to, look what buildings you have available, see if there's any other things you can build or grow or put in there. There's, there seems like there's a bunch of options in there, and you're able to expand out the area that you're building in as well. So there's multiple things to do in that seems like you can dip your toes in as little or as much as you want to, and I like that part about it. But I think the best part about Ball Pit is just the gameplay in the main game. I've been playing some in handheld, I've been playing some on the screen. This game now has a Nintendo Switch 2 version, which is basically just an update. If you have the Nintendo Switch 2 and you bought this game, you're just going to get a little bit better visuals, and that is a free update. But it's nice to see the difference there. But this game looks fine on the base Switch 1. It looks great in handheld. It's extremely fun to play in handheld because there's not too many movements that you're trying to do. So it's pretty simple, and it's fun to sit there and play it maybe while you're watching TV or doing something else. So I have defeated the Skeleton King twice now. I think Volnus and I have decided that he ain't shit and that we can kick his ass pretty easy, and that's pretty nice. And hopefully I will be, Volnus keeps sending me some screenshots and some videos of things he's doing, and it looks pretty high level. Some different characters I haven't seen, and it's always nice to get a little bit of a guide through or get some heads up on what's going to be happening when you're a little bit of a chicken like me. But I've been having fun with this game, and I think this is definitely going to be on my game of the year list and in contention for some spot on it. This is one of the best games I've played this year, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. So I've been building up my base. The Switch 2 version got a little bit of a visual upgrade, and that is everything I want to say about Ball Pit. So I meant to talk about that last week, but I've been having a lot of fun with this. I think this game has immediately jumped into, maybe not game of the year contender for me, but it's definitely going to be on the list or getting some type of nod on there. I would say it's definitely going to be, it's in the mix. Ball Pit, it's extremely fun. I really am thankful that I feel like I tend to get one of these games each year almost. It's been like Balatro, Vampire Survivors, and then talking back to some other ones like Dead Cells and Isaac, even Spelunky I put in this category. Just really, really fun, like roguelike games that I think are classic video games. Having a lot of fun with them. So that's Ball Pit. That's what I've been one of the games I've been playing in the past week. All right, what else have I been playing? Another game that I've been playing is Persona 3 Reload. Talked about this game a lot on the show before. I played it on Xbox Game Pass a little bit. I played it on PlayStation, and now it's available on the Switch 2, which is something that I've been waiting for a long time. This game came out a couple of weeks ago, but the whole talk about this was, hey, this game is running really poorly on the Switch 2. Buyer beware. It has frame rate issues, frame pacing issues is the one I heard with this. And you can notice some of these things when you play the demo of this game. So you are able to play the demo of this game, and it's not going to run as smoothly as the PlayStation 5 version, but in the demo it almost seemed a little bit wonky, like you'd be moving and your controller in the open world wouldn't be, your character in the open world wouldn't be moving exactly like you want them to. And I think that's the frame pacing issues they were talking about. But I was like, man, I've been really waiting to play this game in handheld. That's kind of been the dream here with this game. And I played the demo. Most of it looked good. A little bit of the frame pacing stuff was annoying and noticeable. Maybe they've fixed it a little more in the full version. And I think they have made statements online. Atlas has that they are looking to update this game. And they had to rush it out the door a little bit. So I finally decided, hey, I really enjoy this game. I've been playing a lot. I've started this game twice. It's usually I don't know. I tend to do that with games for some reason, and there's something about this one that keeps bringing me back. And I think I just need to keep playing more of it. But I'm playing Persona 3 Reload on the Switch 2 now, and I gotta say that I think the complaints are a little bit nitpicky. I really do. I think this game runs perfectly fine. I think more and more you need to see things for yourself and try them out and make your own opinion on how good or bad they're going to be. And I think that's something I've done here. So, even take my opinion. I mean, you can always have to take someone's opinion with a grain of salt, but if you do trust me and you listen to me, I think this game is perfectly fine. And I would even say good on the Switch 2. I have noticed a little more of the frame pacing. I think it's maybe what I would call it. And you're really only going to see this if you know Persona 3 Reload. There's like kind of different phases. There's the open world where you are going through like your day and night cycle. You're going through the day, you're going through the afternoon and the evening. So there's 3 parts to a day. And once you pick an activity for the day or the afternoon, it's going to engage you in that activity and it's going to move you on to the next section of the day. So there's like three days within there. And I don't know why I'm explaining the basis of this game. Oh yeah, I'm trying to tell you. So in that section, I think that's where you see some of the frame pacing or frame rate issues. And I really think it seems like it was less early on, but as I'm getting a little bit farther into the game, I'm seeing some more of it in these open areas. The open areas that you're going to don't really change too much, so I can't expect it to get much worse. And that is kind of what I'm basing this opinion on, saying that I think it's perfectly fine. You do notice a little bit of issues on here, but having this game run in handheld, the game looks really cool and beautiful, and the art style is cool, and all the cool stylized stuff of Persona. I think 95% of the game runs great and is really nice to be playing on the Switch too. So I think having the ability to play handheld, I think does put this on par with the other versions of the game. I think that's a perk, and I think a little bit of a negative, I guess, getting it on there is some of these frame issues, and it seems like they're saying they're going to fix them down the road. Like the game's going to be further optimized for the Switch 2, and that's nice to hear. And this will be a game that I don't know. I was about to say this game will probably sell well over time, but I think it's sold well on the other platforms. But I don't know how well the Switch 2 version is going to do. I think Switch 2 game keycards have been doing pretty poorly, and even myself, I don't think I'm going to buy any Switch 2 game keycards. I bought a couple early on, but there's something I already traded in, a couple third-party games, and I only have, what do I have right now? I have Donkey Kong, Mario Kart, and Pokemon ZA, and those are all on the cartridge at least. So that's something I think I'm going to stick to. Persona 3 Reload is a game keycard, so I just bought that game digitally, and I'm not a huge have stuff or display stuff on a shelf anyways. I like some of it, but so there's no really reason for me to, in my instance, to be buying game key cards, because they're just going to be in a drawer, in a cabinet, in a tote somewhere, not really being shown off too much. But Persona 3 Reload, I think it runs fine on the Switch 2. I hope the issues will not get any worse, and I hope that they will optimize it further in the future. But the base game, everything going on in there, even Tartarus runs okay. So I think that's an important part, because that is the part where you're going around actually swiping your sword at enemies, and the turn-based combat runs really fine on here. It really is only in the open world section where you're spending like your day, your afternoon, and evening, where you're walking around the open world. You'll see a little bit of like, I guess it's maybe like stuttering. This is the first time I've heard people refer to it as frame pacing issues, but it looks like maybe just a little bit of a stutter, and I guess it has something to do with the frames there, but you'll probably notice it. But I gotta say, if that's as bad as it gets, I think it's okay. And that's my Persona 3 Reload. My thoughts on that game. So I'm really happy to have that. I can't anticipate I'll finish that game within a couple years, because I think it's a 100-hour video game. But I am making some progress, and I guess something, like I said, keeps pulling me back over there to the Persona 3 Reload. So I'm happy to have it on my Nintendo Switch too. All right, what else have I been playing this week? There's been a series that I've been really into this year, and that's Mario Kart. And I've been playing Mario Kart World and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe in the past week. I've been playing Mario Kart World primarily online, which is fun. I still have not gotten the first place victory, so whenever that happens, I'm going to be very glad to report that on this show, because I think I've only gotten second once, maybe twice, and it's really tough out there racing with the 24 racers trying to get first. But I've been enjoying Mario Kart World online so much, and I've also been playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, trying to complete all the Grand Prix there. So I do have all the DLC for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which adds in almost double the courses. So I'm going through the Grand Prix over there, which is one of the most fun things for me to do in a Mario Kart game. And this game has a ton of it. So this game has 50, 100, 150cc, has 150cc's mirrored, and then it has 200cc or 200cc. So I've almost completed 150cc regularly, and then I'm going to go to the mirror, and then I'm going to somehow try to go up to 200cc and see what I can do up there. I've been having some trouble in the 150s, but I've been slowly making progress. I had to do a lot of races where I maybe finished with a silver finish or like a 1-star gold finish, but to get the 3-star gold finish, you need to end first in all 4 races in the Grand Prix. So if you get first place in each race in the Grand Prix, you get 15 points up to 60, and that will guarantee you get the 3-star gold trophy. And I think that's normally what I like to try to get in these games for completionary sake. And I've been having to settle with some silver trophies and go back, and there are a couple levels in there that I can see why that are silver trophies, because a couple of those levels are giving me grief. And I think it's the ice levels or the snow levels in this game are some of the biggest annoyances to me, and I don't think it really like changes up your driving around on the ice in these games too much, but something about those levels, I don't know if it makes me too cautious or something, thinking I'm driving on ice, and I just end up doing very poorly, because I think most of the time I'm a pretty good Mario Kart racer out here. So I've been thinking, well, I guess I'm really not too close to getting towards the end of the Grand Prix in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but I'm sure that'll come at some point, and I think at that point I'll mainly just be playing Mario Kart World online. So And I've been going back and forth, being like, man, do I really? No, I know I do. I know I really like Mario Kart 8 World or Mario Kart World, but do I like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe more, or will I see myself playing more of that in the future? And I don't know. I think after I complete the Grand Prix in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I think I'll pretty much move on to Mario Kart World, and I'll be playing online there, and then hoping they add some future courses or DLC to that game at some point. So I think I'm still a pretty good ways away from putting a bow onto Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on the Grand Prix, but I've also never really played Mario Kart 8 Deluxe online, so maybe I should give it a try over there some too. But I've just been really having fun with Mario Kart this year, and I think it's really made me realize how this is one of my favorite franchises in general. I've had so much fun with Mario Kart over the years, and I guess that's going to be continuing on. So I've been having a lot of fun with the Mario Kart. All right, what else have I been playing? I've been playing a little bit of the GameCube section of Nintendo Classics. You have to have the Nintendo Switch online service plus the expansion pack, and you can access the GameCube stuff on Nintendo Switch too. And I've been playing, I've been into these racing games, and I've been playing some F-Zero GX on there. That's a game I've never really played on the GameCube. I played a pretty good amount of F-Zero on the N64 back in the day, and I really loved that game. And I bought that copy of Double Dash the other week and had to return it because it wasn't working. And F-Zero was one of the games in the store that I thought about picking up. And I really still might, because I've been having some fun playing on an original GameCube, and I'll be talking about that some more in a minute. But F-Zero GX is extremely fun, and it's pretty hard. I don't think I've really gotten the groove of the driving yet, and I think that happened to me in F-Zero on 64. I think there's a specific way you have to drive around that's a little more than just press and accelerate. And I think there was a point on F-Zero where I was racing this basic way. I was like doing okay, maybe not finishing first or anything like that, but maybe finishing 3 to 5. And then once I figured out the controls, really, I was like kind of pushing up there for contending. So I'm hoping that'll be the case here. And I think this game's really fun. So F-Zero has a great style, has great characters. It's really fast-paced moving. Captain Falcon's a cool character. You are able to fly off the map and get retired, so I think that's pretty interesting. In Mario Kart, you always have be a little bit of a delay. They'll come pick you up and put you back on the map. But if you fall off the map in this F-Zero GX, you are going to not be able to, they're going to restart the race on you. So there are, how many? I think there's 3 Grand Prix in this I've seen, and I think the Grand Prix in these each have 6 races that go up in difficulty, which is nice. And I don't know, this might be something I do want to pick up on my actual GameCube. This is one of those games that's in the like $80 range, though. It's an expensive one. for the GameCube, which there is a pretty good section of those games that are pretty expensive. But I have the exact credit from Double Dash, which is in that range too. So it is a question of, do I wait for Double Dash, or maybe I pick up this F-Zero game because it's fun, but I also can play it on my Switch too. So I don't know. It's nice to have the option in there. The Switch 2 GameCube section has Luigi's Mansion, it has F-Zero GX, and it has Wind Waker in there. Those are all 3 games I want to play some more of, and it's been fun. I think it's cool. I think it's cool being able to try out these games, and then I can see if I really do want to shell out the cash to play it on the original hardware, because it's been really nice having the actual GameCube hooked up, and I've been playing a lot of Mario Golf Toadstool Tour, and I've been talking about that the last few weeks, ever since I got that game. I think this has been ever since I've been on a kick of buying some older consoles for like the last couple years, I think this has been the most impactful or game I've been into the most out of all of them. I think it's been the one that's clicked the most. I think getting the OEM GameCube controller instead of the third-party one has really helped. And then Mario Golf Toadstool Tour has been a perfect game to play on an older console. And I think it's a good thing because I was trying to think, like, why has this one been so much fun? I think it's because I have so many other games on the Switch, and I have access to a lot of the GameCube games on the Switch. So this one's a little bit different. If I was to play maybe like one of these story games like Luigi's Mansion or Paper Mario, I probably should play it on the Switch. But if it's something just to pop in and out of, and Mario Golf Toadstool Tour has really good statistics in it, so it's keeping track of all your rounds, and it keeps track of your average putts, your average drive. It has really good stats in there, and there's a bunch of different characters with different attributes. So it's really fun to pick up. You can complete a tournament maybe in 20 minutes, I think. 15 to 20 minutes, it seems like. So it's something that, I have the GameCube hooked up in here with my desk. So, have some coffee in the morning, maybe play a little bit of Toadstool Tour, and then get your day started. It's not bad. Or I've even played it at nighttime before. It's just really relaxing, and it's been fun. It's nice playing an older console, just booting it up, going right into the game. And it has me thinking a little more of buying games maybe outside the box, or maybe more like sports oriented, or like maybe sticking to the racing games. I've been playing a lot of racing games, and maybe a good way to have fun with some of these older consoles for me is to maybe kind of focus on those things, maybe more so than like trying to get into story games on them, or games that would require me sitting down for a couple hours and playing them. So that's kind of been my thoughts on a little bit of my journey into buying some older games. So Mario Golf Toadstool Tour is definitely in contention for one of my favorite games for a prior year. That is a category in the annual Dep Lewis Show Awards, which will be the 4th annual Dep Lewis Show Awards coming up on December 28th, 2025. So the last Sunday of the year. The final podcast of the year is going to be the Dep Lewis Show Awards for 2025. I'm going to be naming my favorite game of the year, my favorite best game from a prior year. I'm going to be naming my top 10 games of all time. That's something I'm going to start doing year over year, and seeing where my top 10 list is changing. And I'm really excited about that one. There's been a couple points in the last few weeks where I'm just like, man, all right, I'm going to sit down and make this list. And I think I have a pretty good outline, but actually, I think I'm almost there. I really do. I'm always a little bit scared that I'm leaving something out, so I'm really trying to rack my brain and think about this. But I think I have a good list going, and I'm really trying to identify, the 10 best games, the 10 most meaningful. Even if, like, an example of a series like Elder Scrolls Skyrim, or Elder Scrolls, there's multiple games in there I really love, like Morrowind, Oblivion, and Skyrim. But when it comes down to brass tacks, if I had to pick the most impactful one to me, it would probably be Morrowind. So I'm hoping that I can really make this list a good indication. I've been seeing people I think a social media trend has been like posting a picture of yourself and putting 5 games or how many ever around to describe you. But I think this top 10 is going to be a good indicator each year of letting you know kind of where I stand in my likes. And it's going to change over time, I'm sure. The new game's going to come in and out, and it could be some wild changes from time to time, or the list could kind of stay the same over the years. But it's something fun I'm looking forward to tracking. And the Dep Lewis Show Awards is one of my favorite podcasts to do each year, and it's something that I work towards and think about all year, and a little bits here and there, and it's just really fun to do. So please prepare for that final Sunday of the year, December 28th, 2025, the Dep Lewis Show Awards 2025. And there's going to be some more categories in there as well, so you just want to stay tuned. As always, this has been the year of no direction on the Dep Lewis Show, so I haven't had a theme or anything for the year. Next year, I'm having trouble thinking about what to do. I think at some points, if you listen to the show, I've been I've been a little more sure on what to do or unsure, and I think I'm a little bit more unsure. I think all my ideas that I'm cooking up right now would be the year of playing favorites, so going back to some of my favorite games, or just really focusing on my favorite games and playing those. The year of the GameCube, the year of the Pokemon, the year of the platformer, the year of the backlog, year of the physical game. Those are kind of all things I've been thinking about. I haven't really made a commitment to one yet. I've done the year of the RPG, I've done the year of survival horror on this show, and I want to have a theme for next year. The year of no direction's been fun, but I can't do the year of no direction every year. Maybe I'll bring it back in the future, but I got to pick a theme for next year. So that's something else I'm thinking about, and a little bit of insight into what I'm thinking. So that's everything going on with me. I think in my video gaming, it's been this past few weeks or months or whatever have been really fun. I've had a lot of great games to play. Had some put some good time in on them. Been playing some different systems, and I've been having fun with the old console, playing the GameCube, and it's just been a really fun time to be a video gamer. So I've been playing Ball Pit, I've been playing Persona 3 Reload, Mario Kart World, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Mario Golf Toadstool Tour. I've been playing a few other things in there as well. I've made a little bit of Ghost of Yotei progress. I've been still enjoying that game a whole lot. I just haven't put as much time in since I haven't done a stream of it in a bit. And what else is going on with my video gaming? That's really about it. So I'll be back next week to talk more about my video gaming in this section, but there is plenty more of the show to go. So this is going to wrap up the first section of Dep Lewis Show episode 154. We're going to hear some lovely break music from who we mentioned earlier, friend of the show and friend of real life Ballness. And then we're going to come back for the midsection where I tell you everything you need to know going on around the video game world. And there is, I don't know, I always have fun with the midsection, but there's some pretty good stuff this week. There's a pretty big update to start it. It was almost something I forgot to put in the show, but it's going to lead the midsection, so it's a pretty important update, and I'm excited to tell you about all the video game stuff after this music. Welcome back to the midsection of Dep Lewis Show, episode 154. This is where I tell you about everything you need to know going on around the video game world. And the first one is an update from a small developer, but this game has a small budget, and that's Rockstar's Grand Theft Auto 6. And I'm sure you already heard what the update is here, and I'm sure you can already guess what it's going to be because it's leading off the news section. But this game, has been delayed. This game was originally, I don't know if it was originally slated, but it was previously slated for March 26, 2026. So even thinking about that now, that does seem like it's a little too soon for that game to be coming out if you really kind of think about it. It seems a little bit hard to believe. And I think February's big game is the new Resident Evil game. So not that Grand Theft Auto has to get out of the way for anybody, but it just seems like a lot of early heat for next year of like really, really massive franchises. And I think this move, I guess after thinking about it, it's not too surprising. But they are now going to launch Grand Theft Auto 6 allegedly, but no, this is the actual date they said. It's going to be November 19th, 2026. So it's going to fall off to the fourth quarter, be a big holiday game. People are going to be asking for that for Christmas, things like that. And I think of Grand Theft Auto maybe as like a May release, kind of like a big summer game. But I also think of just generally a big marquee release should come out in the fourth quarter. And this will be the one for the whole video game world, because this is going to be a massive game. And we haven't seen a Grand Theft Auto game since 2013. That's pretty shocking. Grand Theft Auto 5 released in 2013. But Rockstar, about this delay, that's what they told us. They say, "We are sorry for adding additional time to what we realize has been a long wait, but these extra months will allow us to finish the game with the level of polish you have come to expect and deserve. We want to thank you again for your patience and support. While the wait is a little longer, we are incredibly excited for players to experience the sprawling state of Leonida and return to modern-day Vice City." And the setup for this game, like the back-of-the-box story talk, would be Jason and Lucia have always known the deck is stacked against them, but when an easy score goes wrong, they find themselves on the darkest side of the sunniest place in America, in the middle of a criminal conspiracy stretching across the state of Leonida, forced to rely on each other more than ever if they want to make it out alive. So this game does look really cool. All the trailers for this game have sold this game extremely well. The story setup seems really neat. Grand Theft Auto 5 was extremely fun to play, and massively successful for the story and the online portion. And this will be something that I definitely want to play day one. It's going to be released on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S. I'm sure it'll be coming to PC, months or maybe a year down the road from that or something like that. And this one's going to should be a benchmark graphically and sales-wise and budget-wise. And I think it's always good for the games to delay. I know it's nice to get a product out there and start recouping, especially if you're putting up a massive budget. But I think if you're able to, I think you should always delay your game. I think taking time to refine your product is going to help you in the long run. And no one wants to play a busted game at release. And a busted game at release can really, really tie you down for a long time. I mean, think of Cyberpunk 2077 and the ebbs and flows of the life of Cyberpunk. But Grand Theft Auto 6 has been delayed from March of next year to November of next year, and I'm not too upset about it. There's tons of great games to play. I think this game, I think you should always, I think you should take the time if you can. I think that's the best for everyone involved, and I think people will buy and be interested and play this game whenever it releases. And Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to release on November 19th, 2026. So that is a year and 10 days away from now, if you're listening in real time. All right, so I think that was the most shocking bit of news from last week. And the next thing I want to talk about was some Nintendo sales figures. So Nintendo released, I guess they had their most recent financial report or investor, shareholder update or whatever it may be. But the updated figure, we got some updated sales figures for Nintendo. So I want to talk about those. And these figures are as of September 30th, 2025. The Switch 2 release was June 5th, 2025. And since then, the Switch 2 has sold 10.36 million units. They have sold 20.62 million software units. So the 10 million units of hardware, 20 million units of software, and the top selling video game titles that they sold for the Switch 2 have been Mario Kart World, 9.57 million units, and Donkey Kong Bonanza, 3.49 million units. So 9.5 million out of the 10.3 million that have bought a Switch 2 have bought Mario Kart along with it. A lot of that is attributed to the bundle that was sold, but that is also people buying the biggest launch game that came out for the Switch 2. And those sales numbers, 9.57 million in a couple months, are astronomical sales numbers. So the Switch 2 is off to an interstellar, crazy start. I think it's on track to break all the metrics for most other console releases, and I don't think it's slowing down. I think there's been talks of it's slowing down a little bit after release, but I don't believe that's the case. We're about to have the big holiday push coming up. People keep saying they see these in the stores, but I think that's intentional from Nintendo. It seems like they've done a good job of being prepared for the launch, having the distribution and everything set up to get these games out to the public and have people buy them, and they are definitely doing so. So the Switch 2 going great sales-wise. I think it's a great console. I think a lot of times with console releases, you wish they had more exclusive games to play. But I think that's just kind of the case with these consoles. When you jump in, you're going to have a few gems maybe there, or hopefully have a few. And then over time, you're going to have a great library of games, most likely. So Switch 2, those are some of the sales figures from the Switch 2. And then the Switch 1, those have been updated. They've sold 154 million units. 154.01 million units of hardware of the Switch 1. Nintendo DS is the highest ever from Nintendo, and they have sold 154.02 million units. So Nintendo Switch is going to overtake the Nintendo DS very soon and be the most successful Nintendo console of all time. They have sold 1,457 million units of software for the Switch 1. The top selling titles for the Switch 1 have been Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, an incredible video game. It sold 69.56 million units, followed by Animal Crossing 48 million, Super Smash 36 million, Breath of the Wild 33 million, Mario Odyssey 29 million, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet 27 million, Pokemon Sword and Shield 26 million, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom 22 million, Super Mario Party, that's the first one that kind of came back, 21.23 million, and New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe 18.53 million units of software sold on the Switch 1. So pretty wild. Let's see here. So Mario Kart World is already at 9 million. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe sold 69 million since 2017, I believe, is when that game released. So pretty crazy, pretty wild numbers all around. And Nintendo is doing a great job. They're making great games. They're releasing great hardware. They're selling a lot of them. And I know the prices on these things are very expensive. And that is the case with most things in the world these days. So that's definitely a negative. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know. You obviously can't buy every game that comes out or every system, and I think it's a good console. So Switch 2 has been selling really, really well, and Switch 1 is still a perfectly fine console and something that's going to be, breaking a really, really cool sales record for Nintendo soon and being their highest sold console ever. So I think it's still a great time to get a Switch 1, especially if you've never had a Switch 1. You could totally get a Switch 1 and you would be in video game heaven, in my opinion. I think it's just a really great platform. I think the Switch 2 is starting off great, maybe starting off a little bit slow, as all new systems do, I feel like, these days. But over time, it's going to be a lot of great games for it. We're getting more and more Switch exclusive games, Switch 2 exclusive games, and that's just going to be continuing over time. And they even said it. There's a portion in these investor update or sales or financial update. They say, hey, we're really, or they already have, or they really are moving all their focus onto the Switch 2. Not trying to develop things for the Switch 1, kind of up-res them, or they're trying to have the lead platform for their development to be Switch 2, and I think that's a great thing because it's been 8 years since the Switch 1 has been released, and I think having more of a smooth, I don't know, I'm about to say I would like to have maybe more of a smooth transition or delineation between the consoles, and I think that maybe is what I want, but I do like people having the option to play the game maybe at a little bit lesser version, but also if they're able to develop for one console and have their sole focus on building a game for the platform that is going to be the primary focus, I think there's some benefit in there too. So I don't know, I guess I could go either way on that, but that's what Nintendo has told us their direction is, and I generally think that's probably for the best. All right, so that's all the crazy Nintendo sales figures. Nobody needs to go donate to their GoFundMe or anything like that because they are doing fine, and I think you are valid in saying that their games are expensive because they are, but these sales numbers are pretty wild. All right, what else is going on around the video game world that I'm going to tell you about? Nintendo released a new app last week, and it's the Nintendo Store app. This is a free Nintendo Store app. It makes it easy to browse and buy Nintendo systems, accessories, games, and merchandise. You can download this right now on App Store or get it on Google Play. You can purchase directly from Nintendo, get the latest info on games, and add to your wish list. So that's stuff that I like doing. I like looking at the store. I like adding to my wish list. And I don't know if I like having an additional app, but for looking at Nintendo stuff, it's nice because generally you're just kind of looking through the browser, and that's not really too good of an experience on the phone for doing wish list stuff. So it's pretty nice because I use the PlayStation app a little bit for wish listy stuff, and this is kind of the same thing for Nintendo. But one of the cooler things, I think maybe the coolest thing about this app, is the review your play activity section. So you can sign in with your Nintendo account to see your Nintendo Switch 2 and Nintendo Switch play activity. If you had the Nintendo 3DS or Wii U system, you can see your play activity logged prior to February 2020. And then to view your Nintendo 3DS and Wii U play activity, you'll need to link your Nintendo Network ID and NID to your Nintendo account. But this, if you are someone like me who maybe had an original Switch and then upgraded to the OLED, you're going to lose if you didn't do like a system transfer, you're going to lose your play activity. But Nintendo was tracking this, or sometimes I'll even delete my play activity. If I've played a lot of games I didn't keep up with, maybe I'll delete my play activity and see where it kind of builds back up to. But in the background, Nintendo was tracking all of this, and I think that's pretty cool because you can go back and see you can see more information than you could ever think of on your play activity. It's going to show how many times you logged in. It's going to show you the days and times. It's going to show you the amounts. It's going to show your lifetime hours in these games. And my two top most played were Animal Crossing New Horizons. I think I'm really I think it's in the 400s, or it's at least in the 300s, maybe the 400s hours. Been really, really into that game. And I actually did restart a new file in that game last week too. So I've been playing a lot of video games. But my second most game, which is now over 100 hours, is Breath of the Wild. And that's a game that on my activity, it shows I'm in the 75 to 80 hour range, I believe, on my Nintendo Switch 2. But I have played more of this over time, and I'm over the 100-hour mark in Breath of the Wild. So I think that's really, really cool, and it's really fun to look at that kind of stuff. I think Stardew Valley, and then so those were top tier games for me in terms of hours played. And then there was another tier below that with games 50 hours and above, and there was a pretty good amount of games in that category. Maybe I will talk about that some more next week if I can remember them. But Stardew Valley was up there. I'm trying to think. I think Fire Emblem, Three Houses was up there. Tears of the Kingdom, a few others, Splatoon 3, some other games I really, really like. So pretty cool. And go check that out. It's a free app from Nintendo called Nintendo Store, and you can go review your play activity. I think that's one of the cooler things in there. It lets you sort it by hours played and some different categories like that, and it's fun to look at. All right. So that was Nintendo's new app, Nintendo Store. And what else is going on? Let's see. Pokemon Legends E through A, that's a game that I've been playing some too. They have announced the release date for the DLC. So the DLC, the Mega Dimension DLC trailer was announced, and now they have revealed the release date in a trailer for December 10th, 2025. The DLC, the Mega Dimensions DLC for Pokemon Legends E through A, will cost you $29.99 US. Venture into hyperspace Lumiose for the next chapter of your adventure. Mysterious distortions have appeared without warning in Lumiose City. They seem to connect to a place known as hyperspace Lumiose. And the mythical Pokemon Hoopa has the power to transform them into portals so you can travel there. Hoopa needs your help to do it, though. Team up with the mysterious and talented baker Ansha to gather berries and make donuts that will awaken Hoopa's power and grant you and your Pokemon a variety of useful effects. So this was the DLC that was announced before the game even released, so I think that's a little bit suspect, but it just seems like the trend of the way things are going. I think you could definitely argue this is content that was cut from the original game that's being sold to you, but either way, it is what it is, and it's definitely expensive. But if you love this game, you are able to spend some of your money and get some more of it. So I guess that is okay to have as an option. I've been having fun with this game. I've been going back and forth like I do on games to play, but I've been thinking, I'm trying to use my Switch 2 now more as just a Switch 2 machine, instead of maybe going back to the backlog of things that I've had, many years to play, maybe things I will play at some point, but I'm trying not to mix up my Switch 1 games and my Switch 2 as much anymore. I think that's going to help me maybe kind of move on to the new generation and try to focus on completing some games for the Switch 2. So that's a little bit of my thoughts on that recently, but if you listen, I can sometimes change those. But I think it's, I don't know, I've been having fun with this game, and the DLC is coming out on December 10th, 2025 for Pokemon Legends Z through A. All right, kind of staying in a little bit of Nintendo news. There is a game that has been out for a long time, but it's getting a Nintendo Switch 2 edition, and this is a game I really like. I actually did mention this earlier in the show as a game that talking about it, but The Binding of Isaac Repentance is getting the official title is The Binding of Isaac Repentance plus Switch 2 edition. The pre-orders are now live for this. I don't know if they're still live for the physical version. It's going to be $69.99 US, I believe, through Amazon and Walmart. I think were the two that had the pre-orders open. But this game is coming to Nintendo Switch 2 in 2026. The exact date is to be decided, but this is going to be giving fans an improved and enhanced experience on Nintendo's new hardware. So this will be including all DLC and expansion content released for the game so far. For The Binding of Isaac, the initial release was 2011, and if you don't know about Binding of Isaac, it's a randomly generated action RPG shooter with heavy roguelike elements. Following Isaac on his journey, players will find bizarre treasures that change Isaac's form, giving him superhuman abilities and enabling him to fight off droves of mysterious creatures, discover secrets, and fight his way to safety. So I think this is a classic, iconic roguelike game. I think if you want to play the base version, that's perfectly fine. I think it's cool that this is going to be getting a Switch 2 version. I think $69.99 seems very expensive for this, and I'm not sure if that is the official price, because I think this game has been like $14.99 or $20 for the base version or the Binding of Isaac Repentance version, and it's definitely gone on sale. But I guess getting all the DLC into a physical package, I don't know if it's a game key card quite yet, but I guess that you can maybe get up there in the price. But I do think that looks a little bit expensive from looking at it, and it could possibly be wrong just based on my notes and my looking this up. But The Binding of Isaac Repentance plus Switch 2 edition is coming out in 2026. All right, there was a game that released in the past week for Nintendo Switch 2, a Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive, and that one is Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. So this released on November 6, 2025, only for Nintendo Switch 2, $69.99 US. In this game, this is a Musou game, so in the Dragon, I don't know why I can't think about it. Dragon Warriors? Dynasty Warriors. I'm being an idiot. And the Dynasty Warriors. So it's like Legend of Zelda mixed up with Dynasty Warriors. Battle hordes of enemies in this untold story of the imprisoning war. Experience the complete true story of Demon King Ganondorf's invasion that was briefly shown in the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom game, only for Nintendo Switch 2 system. And this is something I haven't really had too much familiarity or playtime with the franchise, I did play some of Hyrule Warriors, the re-release that came out on Switch. That was a Wii U game. I did play some of that, and I really liked it. And I think that is my only experience with the franchise. But this one has me interested. There was a release before this, the Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. That was their last release that came out in 2020. That was telling some more of the story, I guess, and more of the Breath of the Wild side of things. And I think the biggest complaint there was the game ran pretty poorly on Switch 1 is what I hear. But, now thinking about that, I don't know so myself. But that is just kind of the quick summary I've gotten from looking at this online. I think people were a little more down on that one than they were up on the previous release. That has gotten ported. I think it had multiple Switch or Wii U versions, and then got ported to the Switch. Excuse me. But this one seems really good. I think technically this game is running fine. I think it looks really impressive. I think it's cool. It looks like a Switch 2 game when you look at it. I think that's a nice thing. And in this game, you fight as legends, which is the cool part. Prepare your loadout and step onto the battlefield as Princess Zelda, King Rauru, and other legendary heroes work together to take down powerful bosses and their legions of minions as a team. This is something I could see myself getting interested in at some point. I like the idea of playing as different as other characters in the Legend of Zelda universe, and even Rauru. He's one of my favorite characters from this game. This one's telling more of the story after the Tears of the Kingdom, and I think that's pretty cool. I think they're kind of saying this stuff is canon, and it's the only way you're going to really get some more story after Tears of the Kingdom. So I don't know how bad it would be to play this without finishing Tears of the Kingdom, but I played a good portion of that game, and I think it would be fun to get into this game. This one's a little more, or it's definitely more combat focused, so it's a little more straightforward, but I think it'd be really fun to play. And I remember just back playing on the Hyrule Warriors that came out, I guess, in like 2020 for the Switch, like the port from the Wii U. That one just had really, really fun combat. And I think that is the main selling point to these games and could be a reason that I try this game in the future. So Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment is available for Switch 2 right now. Alright, what else do I want to tell you about this week? I want to tell you about some games that come out in the upcoming week. So if you're listening in real time, today's November 9th. We're right in the midst of, I guess right at the beginning of holiday season, you would say. But there is a game coming out next week, 11/11/2025, November 11th. That's Lumines Arise. This is coming out for PlayStation 5 and Microsoft Windows. There's no price shown currently, but I don't imagine this will be a full price game. I would guess maybe in like the $30 to $40 range would be my guess, maybe up to $50. This is going to be a mind-blowing, fiendishly addictive reinvention of the puzzle classic Lumines from the creators of Tetris Effect Connected, where a sound pulses through your body, mind, and every block you place. Every block you place. Triggering dazzling visuals synced to the driving beat of an infectious, eclectic soundtrack. So I really believe they're selling. I haven't really played Lumines, but Tetris Effect Connected did an amazing job of bringing I don't want to call it simple Tetris. I guess it is kind of simple, but it's the formula that everybody knows, with putting some really, really great trappings of music and some, I don't know, really just kind of, it really, what's the word, like sucked you in kind of thing. Really immersed you in the game. It was really cool. But in Lumines Arise, you can journey through over 35 stages of synesthetic sensory wonderlands. Everything from lush jungles to buzzing neon streets to more surreal experiences, matching blocks and crafting insane combos with the all-new burst mechanic. Mix it up with a variety of other single-player modes and challenges, or test your mettle against friends or strangers in online multiplayer. Developer is Enhance and the Monstars Inc., and the publisher is Enhance. So it looks really cool. This could be a game that I could see myself picking up at any time, maybe down the road, especially when it goes on a sale. But this is probably just going to be a really, really strong entry in the franchise, something fun to play. And I enjoy these stuff. I'm trying to think of other ones I go through like this, but I guess Tetris Effect Connected was a big one. I would still maybe like to play some of that Tetris Forever collection with all the different Tetris games in it. And that's something to think about, but they're just really, really so many great games to play. And I guess this one's not coming out to the Switch, which is a little bit surprising, but maybe we'll see a Switch 2 version at some point for Lumines Arise, but you can play that in the upcoming week on PlayStation 5 and Microsoft Windows. Not an Xbox version in there either, which seems unusual, but maybe that'll come at some point. I guess a lot of these companies aren't prioritizing their Xbox development immediately, and we are seeing a port eventually as like I guess they get all the other things settled, and then they can finally kind of work on that one as a nice nod to the Xbox fans. All right, and speaking of Xbox fans, this one will have a lot of them happy, but other platforms as well. That one's Call of Duty Black Ops 7. That's going to come out in the upcoming week on November 14th, 2025 for PlayStation 5, 4, Xbox Series XS, Xbox One, and Microsoft Windows. So they're going back to the Call of Duty Black Ops 1 year after doing Black Ops 6, I believe is the case. So they don't normally do that. This one's going to be $69.99 US, or you can play it on Game Pass. This one's Treyarch and Raven Software are bringing players the most mind-bending Black Ops ever across an innovative co-op campaign and electrifying multiplayer experience in the legendary round-based zombies mode. Published by Activision. The story in this one, the year is 2035 and the world is on the brink of chaos. Ravaged by violent conflict and psychological warfare, Davis Mason leads an elite JSOC team on a covert mission to the sprawling Mediterranean city of Avalon. While there, they discover a sophisticated plot that won't just plunge the world into chaos, it will pull them into their own haunting past. And the first initial trailer of this game did look really cool. The story really didn't seem like a Call of Duty game at all. And I kind of mean that. I mean that in a mean way, but I've had some fun with the Call of Duty campaigns back in the day, but it's been a really long time. That's kind of why I say that comment. It seemed a little bit too good at this point for a Call of Duty campaign, so I hope that will actually be the case. I don't know what I think about this game. I think a lot of people are looking at this game with some caution, and maybe they're like, hey, if I want to play a military shooter this year, I'm going to play Battlefield 6. But I know Call of Duty has its dedicated fans. I think they're in a little bit of a limbo period. I think they are. I don't know if they're generating new fans is the thing here with Call of Duty. I'm not sure. But they are having an upcoming release on November 14th in the upcoming week. So Call of Duty Black Ops 7, you can get your hands on that in the upcoming week if you are a Call of Duty fan or someone who wants to try it out. All right, so what else do I got to tell you about? A couple more things. One more game to tell you about coming out in the upcoming week. This one has already been released. It came out on other platforms October 2024, but this one's coming to Switch 2 now. It is a game key card, so that's a little bit disappointing for the physical, but that's Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. It's going to release on Nintendo Switch 2 on November 14th, 2025, $59.99 US. It takes the legendary gameplay of the Budokai Tenkaichi series and raises it to a whole new level. Become a super warrior and experience the earth-shaking, limit-breaking power of Dragon Ball battles. Unleash the strength of over 180 fighters from Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball GT, and selected Dragon Ball movies, all in the base game. Each character comes with their own signature abilities, transformations, and techniques, and this game looks extremely cool. This is something I've been tempted to play on the PlayStation 5. I will be interested to play it on the Switch 2 at some point, possibly. I'm sure this will go on sale at some point. One of the Budokai games on PlayStation 2 is one of my favorite Dragon Ball games of all time. I'm a pretty big Dragon Ball fan. Not like hardcore or anything, but I've watched a ton of the show, played a good bit of the games over time. Dragon Ball FighterZ was the last game that I really played in the Dragon Ball franchise, but this has been one that I've been tempted to buy it from the day it released, and I think I really just have been switching more to playing on the Switch, and this could be a reason for me to finally get this game over there. I'm hoping to hear some things that it runs okay, and maybe one of those situations where I need to try it for myself, and I might have the benefit of never having played this on another platform, so it could, I won't have the comparison to make between the other versions, so I think that could be a benefit too. And as long as the game looks good and it runs pretty good, I could be pretty happy. And even right now, I'm kind of talking myself into this because I could kind of be in the mood for this. I've been maybe itching for a fighting game. They just released that Mortal Kombat collection, which has been a little bit enticing, but getting into something modern that I've been wanting to try could be possible. And we'll all have the option to play Dragon Ball Sparking Zero on the Nintendo Switch 2 in the upcoming week. All right, the last thing I want to tell you about for video game news this week. This one, I think it's interesting for the strategy's sake. I guess I'll just get into it. But the PlayStation Portal, the portable streaming device from PlayStation, they're now making an update to this. Now you can actually stream select PlayStation 5 games directly on your PlayStation Portal with PlayStation Plus Premium. So you don't actually need to own a PlayStation 5 to play games on a PlayStation Portal anymore. So that's pretty wild, because that's been the case. The PlayStation Portal, the whole thing, it's using the processing power of your console and then streaming it over Wi-Fi to the Portal. And now this will be the case where you don't really even have to have the PlayStation to do this. So this is a little bit of the Xbox kind of future with all their cloud gaming. And this has been the future that it seems like they're working towards. I don't really believe it. I don't know if we're quite there yet. But this is a step in that direction. And I think this is cool. I think that's generally my take on this stuff, that having the different options to play these things is cool. not everybody has the same setup or the same access to internet or things of that nature. But if you do have access to internet and you want to play this thing portable, you're going to have an option. And I think that's cool. And I think it's cool that you don't have to have the console with it either. I think it's going to help some people get into this that might not possibly be able to before, because you can buy the Portal for $200. You don't have to spend the $500 on the console. You have to be a subscriber to PlayStation Plus Premium, which is expensive. But if this is up your alley, I mean, it's an option. So the PlayStation Portal is receiving one of its biggest updates yet, starting on November 5th at 6 p.m. I think that was 6 p.m. Pacific time. Cloud streaming for PlayStation 5 games officially launches on PlayStation Portal for PlayStation Plus Premium members, along with a variety of new features that enhance how you can play. So PlayStation Plus Premium members can now stream select digital PS5 games from their own library. At launch, thousands of PlayStation 5 games support cloud streaming, including blockbusters. That's the question, what games will it be? And it seems like it's a lot of the big time games you want, such as Astrobot, Borderlands 4, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Fortnite, Ghost of Yotei, Grand Theft Auto 5, and Resident Evil 4. In addition, hundreds of compatible games from the PlayStation Plus game catalog and Classics catalog, including Cyberpunk 2077, God of War Ragnarok, Hogwarts Legacy, Sword of the Sea, and The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered are also streamable directly from the cloud. This is something that I've thought maybe a couple times of wanting to get a PlayStation Portal. I'm not really sold too much on PlayStation's streaming at this point, because I've tried the remote streaming to my computer. It doesn't run too great, but I mean, I don't even have I have a Mac laptop, but it's kind of old. It's not a video game playing machine, so I don't know if that hurts the streaming. But I haven't ever had a really good experience with the remote play on PlayStation 5. But I think the Portal is a whole different beast. I've heard some good things about it. I've heard if you have good internet, it might be a good addition to your gaming setup. But this is going to be putting the Portal in front of more people, or have more people thinking about it for sure, and a pretty big update for PlayStation Portal, and something interesting to follow, because I would love to have I don't know if I would love to have, because I think the Switch is doing a lot of the things that I want, that I need out of video games, but it would be cool to possibly have a PlayStation handheld, which they do talk about, like a more dedicated PlayStation handheld where you can play games natively on there. And I think that could be something that we hear more about next year, because a lot of these companies are getting more into the handheld side of things with the success of the Switch and the Steam Deck. We have all the handheld gaming PCs that are coming out. We have the one that Xbox partnered with that released recently, the ROG Ally, and I think we're going to be seeing more and more of these as time goes on. So the PlayStation Portal with a pretty big update there, and that is very nice. If you are someone who has thought about this and you don't have a console, it could be right up your alley if it works well. I haven't really heard any updates on how it works. I guess it's happening. Well, I guess it's already happened, but I need to look up some information and kind of see what people are saying about that, because I am interested. And then that's everything I have for you for the midsection of the show this week. So that's all the video game news that I thought was interesting and wanted to present to you out there in the world today. We talked about Grand Theft Auto 6. We talked about Nintendo sales figures. We talked about the Nintendo Store app. We talked about Pokemon Legends Z through A, The Binding of Isaac Repentance Switch 2 Edition, Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, Lumines Arise, Call of Duty Black Ops 7, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, and the updates to the PlayStation Portal. So that's all the video game news I have for you this week. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to say. I think we are getting a little bit close to the end of rapid fire releases. I know there's a couple more to close out November. Metroid Prime 4 is early in December, so maybe I'll get a picture of that together for next week to keep us all on track for what's coming out to end the year. And I think that's all I got for you for the midsection of the show this week. So that's all the video game talk I have for you. That's going to wrap up the midsection, but there's one final section to go of this show, the Miscellaneous Talk section, which is a break from all the video game talk and mumbo jumbo and chatter. And I want to talk about what's going on with all my favorite teams. So even if you don't like sports, the final section is short and sweet, and you can, if you like listening to me, you can kind of just, if you like listening to me in general, you can just kind of listen to my sports journey, which is usually a lot of downs, but recently has had some pretty positive stuff going on. So I would say, even if you're not a sports fan, please give the final section a shot. And I do enjoy talking about the sports or random things in this section each week. So, give it a shot right after this music. Welcome back to the final section of Dep Lewis Show, episode 154. This is a Miscellaneous Talk section where I can talk about anything I want to outside the video game world. So I want to get into the worldwide world of sports as I like to do, and tell you what's going on with all my favorite teams. I mentioned earlier in the show, this is an NFL Sunday for the Carolina Panthers. They're going to play the Saints in Charlotte in about an hour and a half from when I'm recording this in real time. And the Panthers are now 5-4 after a win last week against the Green Bay Packers. So talk about a formidable opponent, talk about a quality team, and talk about the Panthers getting a win against them. So the Panthers won 16-13 up there in Green Bay. So just a really, really impressive win for the Panthers as a whole. Bryce was 11 for 20, 102 yards, 1 pick and 1 sack for 0 yards. Rico was 25 carries, 130 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He's been the MVP for the Carolina Panthers this year. Chuba had 5 carries for 17 yards, taking a little bit of a back seat there. But I'm still happy we have him on the roster. He didn't get traded. T-Mac Tedoroa McMillan had 4 catches for 46 yards. Christian Roseboom, who has been, I think he's been in this category a couple weeks this year. At least he's been a quality addition to the defense. 15 tackles, 7 solo. Trayvon Moehrig, a great rookie. He's really, from the beginning of the season, he's been a standout to me on the screen of just watching him play. He's been really, really impressive to watch, flying around on defense, and he had an interception. Ryan Fitzgerald, the kicker, who's been having some success. A little bit of struggles last week, was 1 of 1 for his field goals and 1 of 2 on an extra point. And it was a really, really windy day, and he hit the kick to win the game. So shout out to him, and just a really, really great win, just impressive. And it was a fight to the end, scrappy win, and against a quality team. So just very nice to see, very nice to have Bryce back managing the game out there. It wasn't like he threw for 300 yards and had a great day, but he managed the game. He didn't lose the game, and they got it done as a team. And that's been nice to see. They've been running the ball. The defense has been balling. And I think that's the winning combination for the Panthers, or it has been over the history of the franchise, running the ball well and playing defense. And that's fun to see as a Panthers fan of that going on right now. And it's fun to see Bryce Young. I think he has a little bit of he has that gamer spirit in him. You could see when he got that last chance to go down there and try to get the field goal, he was kind of smiling or laughing. It was pretty cool to see. It was like he was excited for the opportunity to go out there and win the game. And it was a little bit of like an ice in the veins moment. And I am more and more impressed with Bryce Young, and I hope he can stay healthy and keep leading these Panthers down this road of success. So the Panthers are 5-4 after last week. They play the Saints today at 1 o'clock. The Saints are 1-8. The Panthers are 5-4. It would be nice to have the Panthers get a definitive win today. I think that's the thing that I could wish for the most. I mean, obviously you would wish for that every week, but as far as the Panthers seasons go, they've been trending a little bit upwards. It seems like they're getting some things together. So if they go out and play a dud today, I'm going to be really disappointed in that. So I'm expecting either a competitive game or a nice win by the Panthers. I mean, that would be, if you want to take a step back and say where this should really go, it should be a nice win by the Panthers today, and I'll be happy to report that next week if that's the case. But my fantasy football team's been having some nice wins. I'm still undefeated. I am 9-0. I'm going into a matchup against the great Stoop Woot, who is a friend in real life and friend of the show. That if you probably heard me talk about him before. But he is the commissioner in our fantasy football league, and he is my favorite opponent to take down, and I hope I will be doing so again today. All right, for basketball, I'll tell you what's going on with my favorite teams in the NBA. I'm a halfway fan of the Hornets since I'm a North Carolina resident now. Since last week, they played Sunday versus Utah. The Hornets won 126-103. Tuesday at New Orleans, the Hornets lost 112-116. Friday at Miami, the Hornets lost 108-126. And next week, the Hornets will be playing the Lakers, the Bucks ×2, and OKC. So that's a really tough week there. I think the Hornets are a little bit in panic mode. I think the beginning of the season has started off poorly, and that's been the case for the Hornets for a couple of years. So a little bit disappointing there, but nothing too surprising. And then my favorite team in the NBA, the Atlanta Hawks, have been getting into a little bit of a groove here, even with Trae Young hurt. And we've been seeing Issac ball out. Jalen Johnson's been a little bit hurt, but Issac has been a delight. He's been the shining star right now for the Atlanta Hawks, and it's been a pleasure to watch. Since last Sunday, the Hawks played Cleveland last Sunday. The Hawks lost 109-117. Tuesday versus Orlando, the Hawks won 127-112. Friday versus Toronto, the Hawks lost 97-109. And last night versus the Lakers, the Hawks won 122-102. And that was a pretty definitive win there. The Hawks were up for most of that game and really did a great job closing it out. Next week, the Hawks will be playing the Clippers, the Kings, the Utah, and Phoenix. I'm not sure what the return timetable is for Trae, for Jalen, and I think Nickeil Alexander-Walker was out in last night's game too, so they're really missing some people. I think KP was even out. So they got a really scrappy win on Isac's back and Dyson Daniels and a few others, but just really, really nice to see some of those young guys, young giant wings really, really balling out. Like Jalen Johnson and Issac is an extremely nice combo to have on the Atlanta Hawks. All right, so what else is going on? So that's all the NBA stuff I have for you. My favorite Major League Baseball team is the Atlanta Braves. It's the off season for them. The 2026 season begins Thursday, March 26, 2026 versus the Royals, but who's waiting on that? The Braves have hired a new manager. So Brian Snitker has moved on to an advisory role after being their manager for a long time, and the new manager is an internal hire, Walt Weiss. He's been the longtime bench coach for the Braves since 2018. He's a 61-year-old guy. He managed the Rockies for 3 years, 2013 to 2016, and Weiss also played 14 years. I believe he played for Atlanta too. He was a Gold Glove shortstop, and he won the World Series with Oakland in 1989. So I think that's a solid pickup. I don't think it's a splash move. I think it's a little bit more of the same, but I think it's a nice thing as someone who I'm generally a fan. I think last year hopefully is just going to be an anomaly. I think it's good to get a little bit of a younger. We're going younger by about a decade here, which I think is nice. We're still going to have Snit on board to get his advice and expertise and all those kind of things that are very valuable. But we're going to get a little bit of a fresh look here with Walt Weiss, someone who's familiar with the guys, but now can put his own spin on it and hopefully can get the Braves back on a competitive track next year. I mean, that's the only hope. I mean, we can't really have World Series aspirations. We need to be competitive again next year, and that is exactly what they have to be. And I don't think if they're not going to be competitive next year, I think we're going to be seeing some changes going on in Atlanta. But one change they made, they picked up Chris Sale's $18 million option. So that's something I'm very excited about because I'm a Chris Sale fan. He is a veteran pitcher, but he has been a stabilizing presence for the Braves since they've signed him. He's been one of their top dogs on the pitching staff, if not the top dog, and an extremely, extremely valuable addition to the lineup and a team that really is desperate for starting pitching. And hopefully they will be making some more signings. So picking up Chris Sale's option seems like a no-brainer to me. And congratulations to Chris Sale on making $18 million more to play baseball for another year. And it's the offseason. Dodgers won the World Series. Basically just waiting on some offseason moves and for March to roll around for the Braves to start playing baseball once again. And that's everything I have for you for the miscellaneous talk section. That's all the sports talk I have for you. We talked about the Panthers, the Hawks, the Braves, and we talked about the Panthers, the Hornets, the Hawks, and the Braves. I want to say go Panthers today. Please beat the Saints. I hope you beat them handedly. It's a really nice day. It's supposed to get really, really cold in North Carolina after tonight. I think like the high today is in the 70s and the high tomorrow is in the 40s, so a pretty drastic change. And go Panthers. Go Bryce Young. Go Rico. Go Tedero and McMillan. Go defense. And go Derek Brown. Go JC. And I hope they get a win. So thank you for listening to the Miscellaneous Talk section. That's everything I got for you. And that's everything I got for you for the entire show. So I want to reiterate some promotional talk from the beginning. Please follow Dep Lewis Show everywhere. Full episodes of Dep Lewis Show available anywhere you can find a podcast. Find the best place to subscribe and listen weekly. Places like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Amazon Music, and more. YouTube is also a great place to watch me play some games live or check out the videos later. If you'd like to support the show even further than just listening, patreon.com/Dep Lewis Show is available if you'd like to subscribe monthly. Also, Venmo at Dep Lewis Show is available any day, anytime, for any amount if you would like to support the show. I just want to say thank you for listening. I've been getting more downloads than I ever had the last couple months. It's been very nice to see as just a really small podcast that has started. I'm still a very small podcast, but I have the intention to grow, and hopefully more people will listen over time. And just thank you so much for listening, giving myself and this show a chance out there in the world. It's really crazy to see some of those things come, see some of those numbers come up, and they're not incredible, or they're incredible to me. I guess that's what I'm saying. I have a lot of listeners in Singapore, so I'll just shout out to anybody in Singapore. I really, really appreciate you. You're up there as one of my most listen areas, and I'm trying to think of other things to say. There's like 76 different cities or 77 different cities or countries this podcast has been listened to, a bunch of different cities, and I just hope it continues to grow. And I have really a lot of fun doing this each week. Hopefully you get some enjoyment out of it. Hopefully you get some information, and I just really appreciate you interacting and listening to my content at any time. So just thank you. I just want to say that. I want to say it always. So thank you. And I hope you have a wonderful week out there in the world, wherever you are. I hope if things are going poorly, that changes. I hope if things are going good, that continues. I hope you get to play some video games. I hope you get to hang out with some friends and family. I hope you get to eat something good. I hope you hit the lottery. And I also hope you come back and listen to another episode of Dep Lewis Show next week, because that's where I'll be. Thank you so much, and I will talk to you next time. Goodbye.